Hello, my name is David and welcome back to my channel. Today I have for you my July to be read list. So I've got my books set aside here that I'm going to be reading. I've got a couple of challenges and read-alongs that pertain to some of these. But before I get to all of that, some of you may be coming here after watching the Quick to Judge tag video that I made earlier this week, where I read the first paragraph of 10 different books, and today I'm going to reveal the order in which I ranked them based on that first paragraph. And the one that ends up as number one is going to be on my July TBR. So that will be the first one revealed for my July reading list. So working backwards, number 10 was Death World by Harry Harrison. I have it on good authority from Michael K. Vaughan that the book is far better than that first paragraph. I will take his word for it. I will probably read this sometime in the near future. Next, number 9, we had Child of the Grove by Tanya Huff, and this was the one that kind of was a spin on the Genesis story, and that just didn't really do anything for me. Number 8, The First Crusade, A New History by Thomas Asbridge. Brutal, probably shockingly accurate historical opening, but it just wasn't really something that was drawing me in. I'll be reading that book at some point in time. Number 7. Starcat World by Andre Norton and Dorothy Madley. This one was better than I expected. Here's number 6. John Gwynne, The Shadow of the Gods. I expected far more out of this one. This is going to be read sometime this year, but it did not win. Number 5. Now we're getting into the really, really good ones. I would say the top 5 were all close to equally good. So Excalibur comes in at number 5. I enjoyed the opening to that a lot. It's got my interest. It really has me wanting to read it. But the ones that follow were a little bit better. So number 4, we have The Many-Colored Land by Julian May. I know this was a popular number 1 pick from some of you leaving comments. It is a great opening. It's one that I plan to read sooner than later. So now we come to the top 3. And if you're keeping track, we have The Essential Conan, we have The Gallic War by Julius Caesar, and we have Bosworth Field and the War of the Roses. Now, at any given time, I'd probably be able to resort these and have any one of these 3 as number 1. They all have a strong case. These were by far and away the best 3 openings of that 10. However, I have to rank them, and it was not easy. Number 3, I'm putting The Gallic War by Caesar. That opening has me really excited to finally dive in to some works by Julius Caesar. Number 2, The Essential Conan by Robert E. Howard. It was tough, but Michael K. Vaughan, you can rest assured I will be reading this soon. Which puts at number 1. This stoked all of the right interests for me, talking about not only the conflicts of this, but what it spurred from these conflicts, leading into Shakespeare and some of those other great writers. I'm absolutely interested in reading this one. I can't wait. So this is book number 1 for the July TBR, Bosworth Field and the War of the Roses. This is part of the Wordsworth Military Library. So it says on the back here, the Battle of Bosworth, fought on 22nd August 1485, brought to an end the wars of the Roses that had raged between the noble houses of York and Lancaster for nearly 100 years. So magnificently preserved for us in Shakespeare's obsessed dramas. A.L. Rowse brilliantly recreates the dynastic conflict, the battles and sudden death, and the transition from medieval to Tudor England. I'm glad that the first paragraph was a better read than that, because it would not have won based on that. So, book number 1. The second book on my July TBR is my medieval monthly pick for the month, and that is Egil's Saga. This is about 200 pages long. In this translated version here, it's got a lot of notes and other stuff that makes it a thicker book, but the saga itself is about 200 pages long. It should be a fun read. If you've never read sagas, you are in for a delightful treat. Yeah, I'll be kicking off Medieval Monthly with something on this. So it says, Egil's Saga tells the story of the long and brutal life of the 10th century warrior, poet, and farmer Egil Skallagrimsson, a psychologically ambiguous character who is at once the composer of intricately beautiful poetry and a physical grotesque capable of staggering brutality. This Icelandic saga recounts Egil's progression from a youthful savagery to mature wisdom as he struggles to defend his honor in a running feud against Norwegian King Eric Bloodaxe, fights for the English King Athelstan and in battles against Scotland, and embarks on colorful Viking raids across northern Europe, exploring issues as diverse as loyalty, the power of poetry, and the relationship between two brothers who love the same woman. Egil's Saga is a fascinating depiction of deeply human character and one of the true masterpieces of medieval literature. Now that is how you write a back cover blurb right there. My inkling along, I had considered launching a Silmarillion read-along, and that is still coming. Probably next month, but I've got a lot on my plate here, and I want to go with the book that I'm already committed to read with Beth Ann, and that's A Hobbit, a Wardrobe, and a Great War. And this is going to be an interesting read, talking about Tolkien and Lewis and how the Great War shaped them and their lives, and how I'm assuming it inspired their writing as well. Yeah, so they both took part in World War I, and so this will be a real interesting read to find out. So it says, J.R.R. Tolkien and C.S. Lewis enjoyed one of the most consequential friendships of the 20th century, a friendship that emerged from the suffering and sorrow of war. The debt they owed to each other was incalculable, prodding them toward great literary achievements in their respective Lord of the Rings and the Chronicle of Narnia sagas. Both men fought on the front lines during the First World War amid all its horrors and deprivations, and discovered in its wake a new calling on their lives. They composed epic stories of good and evil that continue to enthrall millions of readers worldwide. This engrossing true story explores for the first time how Tolkien and Lewis used the cataclysm of the Great War to illuminate the human condition, to insist that grace can overcome human frailty and even the darkest powers set against us. This is going to be good. It's less than 200 pages. I mean, this is an easy read. I would love for you to join me on this, on Egil's Saga, on any of the books that I mentioned. I want to just open that out there. I'll have some ways that you can contact me. You can email me to talk about them. You can join the Discord. You can chat with me on Voxer. You can tweet at me on Twitter. Whatever your preferred method of contact is, I'd love to read these with you and talk about them with you. So next we have the Read Every Book By. So I don't have an actual physical book here. I'm getting it from the library, hopefully before the end of this week, and that is The Martian Chronicles by Ray Bradbury. The first book he had published is very, very rare, hard to get, and in Bradbury's own words, it's not good. and my understanding is it kind of got reshaped into a later book, so I'm going to hesitantly skip it. But The Martian Chronicles is his second book published, and it is going to be fantastic. This is going to be a reread for me. I'm so excited. I've actually got an ebook already downloaded on my phone as well, checked out from the digital library, and have started in on the first story in that collection. It just reminded me of how masterful Ray Bradbury is in his craft, even with his earliest works. So I can't wait to dive into that. Next, we have the other Read Every Book By with Antonia Fraser. So her first two books were both historical fiction books, and that's all the historical fiction she wrote. So this one is King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. So it is all the familiar characters. So you've got Lancelot, you've got Galahad, you've got Merlin, Arthur, you've got Morgan Le Fay. It should be a nice, easy read. This is comfort territory right here. About 200 pages as well, so not a long, lengthy read by any means, but it should be a really good and fun one. So for Appendix N challenge, I will be reading Roger Zelazny's 9 Princes in Amber. So last month I read King of Elfland's Daughter, loved it. I'm looking forward to this because I've heard nothing but excellent things about this in the whole series. Amber burns in Corwin's blood. Exiled on Shadow Earth for centuries, the prince is about to return to Amber to make a mad and desperate rush upon the throne. From Arden to the blood-slippery stairway into the sea, the air is electrified with the powers of Eric, Random, Blaise, Cain, and all the princes of Amber whom Corwin must overcome. Yet his savage path is blocked and guarded by eerie structures beyond imagining, impossible realities forged by demonic assassins, and staggering horrors to challenge the might of Corwin's superhuman fury. So that, a Hugo and Nebula Award winner, should be a real treat. So, vintage. The vintage collection, I'm gonna try to get through one each month. I'm in the middle of the Stainless Steel Rat. If I haven't finished that, that will be the one that goes in there. It's outstanding so far. I'm a couple chapters in, and then put it on hold so I could rush through the rest of my committed TBR. But I'm also going to attempt to squeeze in Time Out of Joint by Philip K. Dick. So this is one of the 2 bonus books that Michael K. Vaughan sent my way that were not Robert E. Howard related. So this is Regal Gum was his name. He lived at his brother-in-law's house, and people thought the way he earned his living was peculiar. You see, he had a mathematical genius which he used to solve complicated puzzles appearing in each day's newspaper. Then, almost imperceptibly, one day his equations took over and started changing the natural order of things until he, and everybody around him, was caught in a spinning, incredible vortex of fear, hate, greed, and lust, in a world where time was out of joint. So, short read, 160-ish pages. I mean, so far, all of my books, my longest one, I think, might be the Bosworth, and that's not even 300. So these are all easily committed to books. So next, I have a buddy read with the wonderful Rachel from Rachel is Reading. We are going to read Ship of Magic by Robin Hobb. I'm downloading the audiobook for this. It's not available on my things, but I got an Audible credit, so I'm going to be downloading this so that I can get through this tome without feeling undue pressure and stress, because this one is 800 plus pages long, but it's Robin Hobb. It's going to be fantastic. Bingtown is a hub of exotic trade and home to a merchant nobility famed for its live ships, rare vessels carved from wizard wood, which ripens magically into sentient awareness. The fortunes of one Bingtown's oldest family rest on the newly awakened live ship Vivacia. For Althea Vestrit, the ship is her rightful legacy, unjustly denied her, a legacy she will risk anything to reclaim. For Althea's young nephew Wintro, wrenched from his religious studies and forced to serve aboard the ship, the Vivacia is a life sentence. But the fate of the Vestrit family and the ship may ultimately lie in the hands of an outsider. The ruthless pirate Kennet seeks a way to seize power over all the denizens of the Pirate Isles, and the first step of his plan requires him to capture a live ship of his own and bend it to his will. So there you go. This is my long read for the month. This is one that I think is like 45 hours on audio, and I'll probably try to dabble in both reading the copy and listening to it. So about a week, maybe 2 weeks ago, I picked 5 books randomly from my shelf and had folks vote on which one I would add to my TBR. Now, this is not one that I'm committing to finish necessarily in July, but I will at the very least start it in July. And that ended up in a tie between 2 books, one of which was Tristan, which somebody had suggested that I could do as a medieval monthly pick in the future, which I am going to do that. So that is why I'm not picking Tristan, and instead going with the Viking Wars, War and Peace in King Alfred's Britain. So this one says, in 1865, a great Viking army landed in East Anglia, precipitating a series of wars that would last until the middle of the following century. It was in this time of crisis that the modern kingdoms of Britain were born. In their responses to the Viking threat, these kingdoms forged their identities as hybrid cultures, vibrant and entrepreneurial peoples adapting to instability and opportunity. Traditionally, Alfred the Great is cast as a central player in the story of the Viking Age Britain. But Max Adams, while stressing the genius of Alfred as a war leader, lawgiver, and forger of the English nation, has a more nuanced narrative approach to this conventional version of history. The Britain encountered by the Scandinavians of the 9th and 10th centuries was one of regional diversity and self-conscious cultural identities, depicted in glorious narrative fashion in the Viking Wars. So I'm excited to dive in. This is a longer read as well, 500 pages. And again, I'm not necessarily committing to finish that. There's also the booktube spin, where a book will be spun tomorrow, and that will be added to the list of ones that I'll probably start. But since I have July, August, and September to get through that book, it probably will not be a high priority, but I'm excited to find out what that will be. I won't have a special video to announce which one it was, but you're welcome to watch my 20 picks and be able to connect that dot after he spins on Friday. I'll have that video linked down below. So, 2 other things that I'm reading. One, I'm continuing to read through some graphic novel comic books. I just placed a hold on Marvel Civil War and Green Lantern, the Sinistro Corps something or other. Both of those were on the top 10s for respective Marvel and DC. So as soon as I pick up the Martian Chronicles, I'll also have both of those, and I'll try to knock both of those out over the course of the month, because those are good palate cleansers and nice, easier reads to just be able to pick up as I'm able to. Finally, Michael K. Vaughan. You've heard him mentioned a couple times already, but he's doing the great Edgar Rice Burroughs read-along. And since I was sent a large portion of Edgar Rice Burroughs' complete fiction from Michael K. Vaughan, I figured it was my public duty to join him on reading this. So he's doing 2 books next month. These are shorter books. This first one is 150 pages, and it is A Princess of Mars. So this is starting his Barsoom Mars trilogy. Suddenly projected to Mars, John Carter found himself captive of the savage green men of Thark. With him was Deja Taurus, lovely princess of Helium, and between them and rescue lay 1,000 miles of deadly enemies and unknown dangers. And then in the second half, Tarzan of the Apes. So this one is longer. It's 300 pages, but doable. So, last one. Set amidst the vibrant colors and sounds of the African jungle, this classic work, rich in suspense and action, has beckoned generations of readers on a glorious journey to romance and pure adventure. This is the story of the ape man Tarzan, raised in the wild by the great ape Kala, and how he learns the secrets of the jungle to survive, how to talk with the animals, swing through the trees, and fight the great predators. As Tarzan grows up, he makes many friends, including Tantor the elephant and Numa the lion. When this paradise is invaded by white men, Tarzan's life changes, for in this group is Jane, the first white woman he has ever seen. Speaking directly to our childhood fantasies, this exhilarating work takes us to that faraway place in our minds where dreams prevail and where we, too, can be masters of our own domain. So there you have it. That's my July TBR. Most of them I aim to finish in the month, but some of them are going to be multi-month projects. And again, feel free to join me on any or all of them. I'd love to have more people reading along with them. And even if it's just me, you can look forward to a review on each and every one of them as I get done. And I'll have a couple of other videos intermixed throughout, at the very least, for my medieval and my Inkling pick for the month. So thank you for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe and have a wonderful day.